What the hell's going on?
Right. Hey, Shalom, salvation of the elect. Let's go, champ. Khan. Amen. First and foremost, we want to say, call halal Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Kahakodash. Let's send double honors to the apostles
Elders a great
and
millstone.
the elders, a great millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to all you brothers out there pushing. Of course, as you see, I'm Ariala. I got the brother Require Quam with me.
Shalom.
Yeah, man, it was a really big day today, headline wise. This is actually a lesson that we was planning on doing last night, but you know, we wanted to have a little bit more news and clips and articles to bring to you brothers as we were sifting through. And you know, we wake up today or you go to work today and it's even better. So you know, it's the spirit had it to where, you know, me and the brother are linking up right now. We want to definitely touch on some of the news that you brothers and sisters out there seeing, and kind of talk about and as usual go through the algorithm with you, the ramifications. What do certain things mean? What do certain things lead to? There's a lot of propaganda and misdirection that they put out there. So what we want to do is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, you know, try to iron some of these things out and talk about the ramifications geopolitically and geoeconomically and how they fit in with prophecy. Okay. And so we want to touch in on that. I'm going to start out with the scripture, Isaiah 32 and 8, 32 and 9. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city." Okay, and so this is what we're going to start to see happen in the beautiful, illustrious place known as Babylon the Great, which is America, and really all across the West and the whole beast system. As they start to, and you best to believe what we see happening in the economy is a controlled demolition from the elite. We've been talking about on the previous algorithms, you know, World Economic Forum, Global Reset, and all this type of stuff, you know, but really it's all prophecy at the end of the day. But in their minds, they think they are the most high. They think that they're in control and that they're going to move this world economy to what they want. There's not a battle economically between Russia and the West. It's all a smokescreen because both sides are leading you down the path of the market of beast system. Okay. Now, require comment if you ever want to make a point, you just let me know, and I'll stop. But what I want to do is just kind of open up with some of the things that we've been talking about from Trump's speech. We've been talking to you guys about how they want to utilize, you know, carbon footprinting, ESG scoring. We've been utilizing a lot of clips from Glenn Beck because he's been real heavy on that. But really, when you look at it, it's all just the MOTB. Okay. And I'll say it one more time, and then I'll probably stop saying it for the sake of the algorithm. MOTB, mark of the beast. That is these scoring systems and credit systems that they want to apply to your digital print, which you will become the QR code. You will be a walking, talking QR code that they track, trace, monitor, and all of the things that's happening economically is a forced demolition to make you beg for a solution, to make you scream and holler to get to have life again. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with this clip from your boy Sleepy Joe, and we'll go from there.
These, by the way, are giant yachts. You put some of them in your press. I mean, some of them are, I think I'd read one was over 400 feet long. I mean, it's this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The decision today is not without cost here at home. Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump. Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of the gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home. In coordination with our partners, we've already announced that we're releasing 60 million barrels of oil from our joint oil reserves. Half of that
right there is already propaganda. The price of oil was already going up before Putin did anything. You know, before Putin did anything, the price of oil here in the States was already screaming. But they show you they're just using Putin as a face, as a scapegoat towards the forced demolition of this economy. Okay, oil was already going up. They had already, as soon as Biden got up in there, he stopped production. And that's why you hear him talking about utilizing the reserves. They're using oil reserves, which are meant for wartime, instead of just producing more oil. Just backwards.
That 30 million, is coming from the United States. And we're taking steps to ensure the reliable supply of global energy. We're also going to keep working with every tool at our disposal to protect American families and businesses. Let me say this. To the oil and gas companies and to the finance firms that back them, we understand Putin's war against the people of Ukraine is causing prices to rise. We get that. That's self-evident. But, it's no excuse to exercise excessive price increases or padding profits or any kind of effort to exploit this situation or American consumers, exploit them. Russia's aggression is costing us all, and it's no time for profiteering or price gouging. I want to be clear about what we'll not tolerate, but I also want to acknowledge those firms and oil and gas industries that are pulling out of Russia and joining other businesses that are leading by example. This is a time when we have to do our part and make sure we're not taking advantage. Look, let me be clear.
The American economy in 1981 was a lot stronger.
It's simply not true that my administration or policies.
The American economy in 1981.
Hold on. Is that clip playing on your end, not?
Production. That's simply not true. Even amid the pandemic,
Gone.
the United States pumped more
Just mute your mic, you know what I mean?
oil during my first year in office than they did during my predecessor's first year. We're approaching a record levels of oil.
Now he just basically just bold-faced lied about how much oil that he produced versus Trump. Now Trump been calling this dude out, and Trump been telling you about my man Trump been telling everybody, basically screaming on Biden for some months now, really since he's been in office, just how ridiculous this guy is, and just how overt and in your face that this guy is ruining the economy, and it's not because Biden is doing it, it's because the people who's controlling Biden is doing it. But they do everything through craft. By like scriptures talk about in the book of Daniel, through peace he shall destroy many. You know, because Trump talked about this. Now, currently the price of oil is already up to I think 120 or something like that. But here, this news clip. This was a few months ago, some months ago, when this news clip came out. I don't know. They don't put the date on here no more. I don't know why. But But this clip is for some months ago. I want to play this clip from Trump.
The strategic oil reserve and the rampant inflation. Watch.
They weren't going to make us non-energy independent. We were energy independent first time in, they say 78 years, but I think forever. We had so much energy, we didn't know what to do with it. Gas prices were $1.87, and now they're going up to $7, $8, $9.
Well, it's funny that you said it was 1 month after he tapped the strategic petroleum reserve.
Yeah.
Gasoline prices are down 10 cents. You actually filled up the reserve.
For decades, our reserves, and these are strategic reserves. This is a big deal. This is meant for war. This isn't meant to get the prices down a little bit. This is meant for war. And for decades, we needed it. They weren't full. And then they really hit an all-time low. We had almost nothing. And during the low prices for the oil, and presidents didn't want to do it because nobody knows about it. Nobody gets credit for it, nothing. It's a political thing. I said, let's fill up the strategic reserves. And we did 75 million barrels. That's a lot.
At low prices?
At almost nothing. At low prices, we bought it for a steal when we had the low. It's funny, I just thought of it. Nobody came to me and said, what about it? But I've been reading for years that our strategic reserves are almost empty. And at the low prices, it's filled right to the brim. And this guy comes along and he says, oh, good, now it's filled up. We'll just do it in order to get prices down, which is just artificial. And they can't do it that long because it's not going to last that long. But we filled it up, 75 million barrels at an unbelievably low cost. You would be very proud of me. I never got credit, but I never get credit for anything. But you know what? The people know.
What about inflation? How are we going to get out of this? I mean, Jay Powell last week said he's going to raise interest rates 3 times in 2022. Is that going to be enough to head off inflation? Everything is up in the double digits.
So are you ready? So the biggest problem, and it started it, now it's snowballing worse than ever. As an example, people can't get goods into our country. Can you believe this? You go to buy your husband a nice gift at Tiffany. There's nothing left. So you give him a green box and you say it's going to come in about 4 months from now. But the truth is that nobody's ever seen this before. Nobody's ever heard of this before. Even during my 4 years, it was not a problem we ever thought about because this is impossible. You just take a look at what's happening to our country. Things are happening that nobody can believe. But what you do about inflation is the biggest problem is the cost of energy. Because again, $1.87 a gallon when I was there for a car, and now it could be $7, $8. It's going through the roof. It's $5, $6. I hear in parts of California it's $7.
Wow.
So, and it will be, if it's not now, it will be because it's going up like a rocket ship.
Yeah, baby. So they're strategically, keeping oil out of the market. They're causing more and more strife with the sanctions globally. They're causing what's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the market, which makes just the prices of everything go crazy. And it's meant to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, and so what we're going to see is a strain, and people are going to become angry, and people are going to become disgruntled. Okay, because your way of living is going to become strained out systematically more and more and more. And we are just getting started. We're just getting started. The book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, and the 6th verse, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? And this is talking about the rulers, okay? People are going to start to take up a parable against him. People are going to start to take a parable against the West, and particularly America, as they figure out, it wasn't Putin. This was all controlled. Okay. It says, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay. All right. And that's that debt. They have a debt-based system where they pump out inflation every single year, 2% of the global GDP. They pump out more and more dollars each year, and it's just thick clay. When you look up their word, thick clay in the Hebrew, the word is abatyat, which means debt. Then everybody is sucking up more and more debt from these financial institutions that's controlling the world. All right. And so up against that debt, people are going to start to get strained out under the weight of hyperinflation. All right. The value of your dollar is worth less day by day by day, hour by hour by hour. Okay. It's worth less and less and less. And this is intentional. This is very, very intentional. Okay. I'm going to play the rest of this right here.
Gas production in the United States, and we're on track to set a record of oil production next year. In the United States, 90% of onshore oil production takes place on land that isn't owned by the federal government. And of the remaining 10% that occurs on federal land, the oil and gas industry has millions of acres leased. They have 9,000 permits to drill now. They could be drilling right now, yesterday, last week, last year. They have 9,000 to drill onshore that are already approved. So let me be clear. They are not using them for production now. That's their decision. These are the facts. We should be honest about the facts. Second,
he said, let's be clear. They're not using them for production now, meaning they're not pumping for more oil. He said that that's their decision. No, that they're being controlled. They're being told not to. They're being shut down. Okay.
Stark reminder: to protect our economy over the long term, we need to become energy independent. I've had numerous conversations over the last 3 months with our European friends about how they have to wean themselves off of Russian oil. It's just not tenable. It should motivate us to accelerate the transition to clean energy. It should
motivate us to accelerate a transition into green energy. This is the real agenda. A shift, a global shift.
Perspective is that our European allies share, and the future where together we can achieve greater independence. Environmental regulation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've spoken a bit about it before, about this whole green energy scam, which it is a scam, and it's causing this energy crisis. I believe America did the same thing Europe did, which was they shut down a lot of these coal what's it called, coal plants under the guise of this whole Green Deal business, which coal was good energy, you know. And the difference with these fuels and so-called renewable resources is that they can more control the production of energy. You can get kind of energy on demand, because that's how energy networks actually work. You know, you have to go with the flow of the use of energy. That's more easy to do with coal and things like that. But one thing, I was listening to Coach Red Pill today. I didn't even clip it. He actually worked in that industry, and he said that industry is only viable in the West because they got money to throw away. Those industries actually make a loss. They only make money because they're subsidized by the government. So it's a massive scam, all that green energy rubbish that they be pushing. And that's why the East, they don't really have the money to burn like that. So the East are like, nah, like, we ain't gonna shut down our coal power plants. What are you talking about? You know, it's not efficient. So this is all led up to the point where we are now, where you're gonna get this crunch, because he's saying that they're gonna replace the energy with green energy. No, they're not. What they're gonna do is you're gonna have less energy, and the energy is gonna have to be rationed out.
That's right.
You know,
that's exactly what we're gonna get into, man. And so, we'll highlight this because he got up here with this forked tongue and basically just told bold-faced lies the whole time. He just lied.
We have the highest oil production ever, right? Making the same misstatements that Jen Psaki did, saying that we have the highest oil production ever right now. Anybody can look it up on the website. EIA, it's the official energy statistics. In December 2019, we were producing 12.9 billion barrels of oil a day. In December 2021, we were producing 11.5 million barrels a day. It's a 1.5 million barrel per day drop since December 2019 at the end of the Trump administration. The fact is we are not producing as much oil as we could, and we could ramp up our oil production to easily replace what we're not getting from Russia.
Well, and that's critical to know because the facts matter here.
Yeah.
Like, our enemies look at that and they know the truth. Venezuela knows, oh my goodness, we can do a little bit of a jig today because America's going to buy some oil from us. I don't know, maybe Iran's thinking the same thing.
Well,
and look, the Saudis are over there. They're listening to the president get ready to beg for more release from OPEC.
And what are the Chinese thinking? I think the Chinese are thinking, oh boy, we get to sneak in some Russian oil because we can go under the radar, get the oil in there at a discount. While Americans are spending a fortune more on oil, we get oil cheaper here by dealing with the Russians.
All right, Peter Doocy, correspondent, often in those briefings, as we know, asking those questions. So as he was talking, the president, Peter sent this out. The White House has said, we don't have strategic interest in cutting off Russian oil. I know where he's going here, but I want to give you a couple of examples. Today is
the 8th.
Okay. So the 3rd, okay, Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, said, we don't have a strategic interest in reducing the global supply of energy, and that would raise prices at the gas pump for the American people. On the 2nd, we don't have a strategic interest in reducing the global supply of energy. That was the deputy press secretary. Also, our objective is to ensure that there is the greatest economic pain on Russia and not on the Russian people, but on President Putin, and to minimize the impact on the American people. So they have said time and time again, what changed? It could not have been the horrible images and realities of death and war, because those have been going on for 13 days. What do you think was the calculus to get the president to this point?
Because of the fact that they're blaming the price increases on Russia. All of the price increases. I mentioned before, in December, long before the invasion actually took place, it was a very political calculation, I think, on their part. You listen to what Jen Psaki said. She's blaming the Russian invasion on the gas price increases. You go back to November of 2020 and look at gas prices. Right during the election in November 2020, average gas prices were $2.11 a gallon. Now, yes, that was during the pandemic and prices went down because people weren't traveling as much. But you go back to right before the pandemic, 2019, prices never got above $3 a gallon. As soon as Biden came into office, prices spiked. Not only at the gas pump, but also oil prices spiked, and they've been going up continuously long before the invasion was even in our calculation. So the idea
that shows you how much propaganda is going on with who they blame and how they want to control people's minds and how they want to put your mind and say, okay, this is the problem or that is the problem. You know what I'm saying? And now you got Esau divided against himself because everybody's hurt. Everybody's hurt. The whole European system is hurt, because the elite are doing what they want to do, but the common folk are just getting ate up. And so when you look at these common, the Joe Schmo Edomite, I was talking to somebody today, Edomite today at the job. He's pissed. Their houses are divided against themselves. One person blaming this, another person blaming that, another person going here. And that's why when they try to onboard all of these global systems, it's going to be nothing but complete chaos. Absolute chaos and mayhem is what's going to happen. And that's that shameful spewing. Okay? That's that shameful spewing. Okay? What did I have? Where was the scripture at? Oh, yeah. Revelation 17. I want to read Revelation 17 and skip on down to the point. It says, Revelation 17:16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, when we talk about these 10 horns, the common market systems that are coupled along with this beast system. You know, basically you got America, which is the whore that rideth upon the beast. You got these 7 heads and 10 horns, which is basically this NATO, European, EU bloc, and all the little nations that are just their little minions, you know, running along with it. Now you got all this policy coming out that basically is going to force all the middle and low class people to be starved out. And it's very intentional. It's very, very intentional. We're going to get to that, how they restricting the oil. They're blaming Putin. They're putting the propaganda like, we need a new system. We need a new system. We need a new system. All of these things are coming. There's no real fight, brother. You know, one of the brothers was hitting me up. He was just like, man, I don't understand why would they want to do this, and why, you know, wouldn't America want to protect the dollar? And it's not about no America. It's not about no dollar. It's about the MOTB system. It's about the elites gaining total control. They will liquidate America whenever they're ready to get total control. And this is why the 10 horns are going to hate the whore. Because part of this Edomite block is going to realize they're getting a bad deal. Okay? Did you have any points required, Kwam?
No, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Cool. All right, so now let's get more down into the nitty gritty.
We're weakening Putin, okay? And really, it is a race to see which one collapses first. And China is not on our side, okay? So let me just give you some things that happened yesterday and some reports that came out from Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase. I have told you before, prepare for impact. I am telling you now, we've hit the iceberg. Get into the lifeboats. Get into the lifeboats. And I'll explain that here in a second. Don't be fooled by the sideshow that is this Putin battle. Good guy, bad guy. Should we go in and get him? We should kill him and shoot him in the head. Don't be sidetracked by that. That is something that will just delay you. They are on the deck of the Titanic arguing about that. Get to the lifeboat. Here's why.
And what we're telling you, that the lifeboat isn't packing up and storing food. The lifeboat isn't getting your ammo and your guns. The lifeboat isn't your cryptocurrency bag. The lifeboat is being in a good relationship with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. The lifeboat is confessing the name of Yahushua and repenting and coming back to him. Because we're going to have to be saved out of here. That is the lifeboat. There is no other lifeboat. The whole world is going to burn. And if you're not covered under the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you will be destroyed. You will be carried. You will either be killed in thermonuclear destruction, or you will be carried into captivity. Point blank, period. Captivity is going to be underneath the elect, the righteous. They're going to come and rule the earth like the scripture said they would. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that go back to the 12 tribes, the elect of you, those chosen that have woken up in the spirit, you're going to come back and rule and clean up this mess that's been created by the Edomites. Okay? That's what's going to happen. All right?
Yesterday, Russian crude was offered at a price more than $22 below the spot price, and no one bought it. So we say we're buying Russian oil, we're buying all this stuff. Yeah, some stuff is still coming through a pipeline, but nothing is going offshore. Russia is so desperate now to sell this oil, they said, we'll sell it below market price by $22. And no one took them up on that. Okay? No one in the world. This is the Great Reset, and it is very, very effective. But I want you to understand what's happening behind the scene. So there is a bidless market now for Russian oil,
and increasingly an offerless market for non-Russian oil. J.P. Morgan, their commodity strategist, made a research note earlier yesterday. She noted,
so basically Russia has oil sitting there on the market for people to buy, and no one is buying it, meaning the demand for Russian oil is being squeezed out. Interesting.
that while the U.S. and its allies have so far stopped short of imposing penalties directly on Russian and oil and gas, on Tuesday it became increasingly clear that Russian oil is being ostracized. The preliminary Russian crude oil loadings for March revealed a 1 million barrel drop in the loadings from the Black Sea ports. That is also a $1 million drop from the Baltics and half a million barrel drop in the Far East. In addition, there is now an estimated 2.5 million barrel loss in oil products loading from the Black Sea, total loss of 4.5 million Russian crude, blah, 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 blah. Putting the number in context, prior to last week, Russia was exporting 6.5 million barrels of oil and oil products, with 2/3 clearing through the now frozen seaborne market. Out of that, Europe and the U.S. accounted for 4.3, with Asia rounding out the number. Echoing what was said yesterday, J.P. Morgan notes that as the Russian invasion entered its 7th day, Russian cargoes have become toxic for the majority of the Western trading houses, refineries, utilities, shippers, banks, ports, and insurers. As of this morning, almost 70% of Russian oil is struggling to find buyers. So far, if you're on the deck arguing this war, this seems good, right?
This would be what you'd want, right? We're trying to isolate Russia financially.
Yes. If we weren't actually kniving and shivving ourselves at the same time. The reasons include logistics. Large number of oil tanker owners can't get the insurance, etc., etc. Signs are growing now that things are going to get worse as Russia's invasion into Ukraine is entering now a deadly new phase. President Biden is facing pressure from lawmakers in both parties to completely cut off U.S. imports of Russian oil and gas. In Europe, the conflict has revealed an extreme tension between European energy security, listen to this, and the region's primary energy supplier, likely leading to a rethink of European energy strategy where a Russia-free requirement might be added to the carbon-free category. Understand that? Europe's not shivving themselves. They're saying, okay, we may have to get out of Russian oil, but if we're going to do that, turn those frickin' nukes back on. Forget about this carbon-free nonsense. We got to do what we need to do to survive. Got it?
Which is, of course, what they should be doing and what we should be doing.
We should be opening up every drilling hole in the ground. We should be pumping oil and gas everywhere.
Because America and the West, people don't understand how privileged, how this place lives deliciously, like it talks about in Revelation, the 18th chapter. The consumption in daily life of petroleum and oil, I don't think people really understand how much oil we use every single day. Oil and petroleum literally control your life in more than 2,000 different ways. In more than 2,000 different ways, petroleum is in your life. From the stop sign to the bottle of water to the plastic wrap to the oil you actually have in your car to the maybe the soap and deodorant you might use, forks and knives that you have in your kitchen, the desk that you sit at, the keyboard on your laptop, the screen on your TV, this light that's shining right here, the posters on your wall, these glasses, everything going to and fro. So to stop bringing in 1 million barrels a day and decrease the production of 1 million barrels a day, the price of the price of things is going to skyrocket because the demand is only going up, but the supply is getting strained out. So both sides is straining out intentionally. Both sides is like it's a self demolition. It's a purposeful destruction.
Yeah, can I get a precept on that, please?
Let's go, champ.
I was just thinking about this precept here, in Job, the 5th chapter and the 13th verse. It says, "He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong." And that's going into these elites, the super elite that are really manipulating these events above ground. And you can clearly see that, they have this ideology of the Hegelian dialectic order abkeo, and the Lord is using them to destroy their own kingdom, and they think they're so smart, they're so wise, that that's their plan, and then they're gonna build something great afterwards when they're not. And it's actually it's quite interesting that they're doing this to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did the greatest empire, the greatest like civilization they've built to this date, and they're destroying it. It's self-inflicted. They're making every decision they're making is going against themselves. Like I'll give you an example. Like over here in the UK, we just had a massive strike. We got strikes with the transport system in London, and the transport system are like, hold on, you created a lockdown, and then you told the Transport for London to run a full service with no furlough, but then you told all their customers to stay at home, and now you're complaining that they're in the red. It's all self-inflicted, so it's very interesting. But the Lord, they're being wise, they think they're being wise, but ultimately the Lord is taking them in their own craftiness. It's interesting.
Very interesting, man. Very interesting how they think they're pulling something off. They really think that they're pulling something off. In a way,
got that up if you want that. 2 Corinthians 16 and 21.
We're gonna get to that just once we start getting to the food and the famine part. We'll bring that out. I'm thinking about the scripture. The scripture says, "To him that is evil unto himself, to whom shall he be good."
Yeah, I think that's in the book of Sirach.
Is it Sirach? It must be Sirach 14, right?
I'll see if I can find it. Oh
Sirach
shit.
14. Yeah. Sirach 14 and 4. He that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others, that shall spend his goods riotously. Right? He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall.
Yeah, because the main ones. I mean, Jake's gonna suffer, no doubt. But to be honest with you, the higher you fall from, the more you're gonna suffer. So these Edomites that are like middle class, upper middle class, they're about to enter a world that they've never been in before.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what it's like to be at such a loss. They're gonna be in a whole different planet.
Yeah. I was telling
It's their own people that did it to them.
I was telling the brothers, I was like, man, I'm about to buy me some Top ramen stocks, those little ramen noodle packages, them dried noodle packages, ramen packages, baby. Man, I'm finna invest in that, man, because it's gonna be a lot of that cheap ramen being eaten around here, man. Ain't gonna be no more organic chicken, Right now, packets of meat. Or you get a little thing of lamb. Brothers was telling me they went to the store getting a little 3 pieces of lamb that normally would cost maybe $15, 17, 99. It's over 30 something bucks, man. So eating all organic and whole foods and nah.
You know what's quite interesting is that all of that started with the right, and it's like people kind of felt a sigh of relief You know that there was that period of about 2-3 weeks where it's like, oh, it looks like they're gonna be removing all the restrictions and thinking things are gonna go back to normal, and it's just like,
Boom.
bam. Like, and
Boom.
then if you look at it, what were we talking about previous to this? We were talking about, you know, the food production being affected, the fertilizer, because of the shipping. There was the shipping crisis, right? There weren't enough tankers and all this. That stuff's still going on.
Yep, that never stopped.
That never stops. It's just now this is added on top, and so it's compounding the issues that was already there, and it's gonna get more compounded as time goes on.
Yep, we have to understand, man, that America and the West is ridiculously rich. The transatlantic slave trade and the slavery of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans enriched this empire more than any other empire, probably more than those empires combined. So it is going to take some time. It is like even with all of these things happening, it takes time for it to fall, you know. But it's snowballing, as they say, and it's becoming more and more rapid, right? So back into 2nd Ezra 14:5, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. All right, so his own mind is defiled against himself. He can't help it. He eats his own flesh. All right, that's why these Edomites are constantly at war amongst themselves. Right? It says, if that's where you so-called Negroes learned that from. It says, and if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. It shall be seen that, man, he ain't right. Okay. Did you have any points? I'm gonna finish up on this and move on.
Yeah, con.
All right. I think there's a little bit more on this, but then I'm gonna move on to the next thing.
JP Morgan then repeats what Goldman said over the weekend. Goldman Sachs said disaster is coming, arguing that giving supply shock and bearing a breakthrough in peace negotiations an immediate demand destruction is the only way to rebalance the market in the short term.
Immediate demand destruction is the only way to balance the market, meaning right now there's a tremendous demand for oil, consuming, doing this, doing that. Why? Because everybody's just living their life. So how do you create an immediate demand destruction? Y'all thought there was a demand. A demand destruction is making you stay your ass at home and put a mask on. So how much worse do you think it's going to get when they need you to not move nowhere? No, you can't buy that. You can't go there. It's detrimental to the safety of our empire.
And it's interesting, right? Because something just clicked in my head again. Because I was talking to a supervisor at work about the situation, and he said it's crazy because they've created a consumer economy, but they wanted to get rid of the consumers. Like they so you're gonna see, like, I got a clip from coach Red Pill, and basically what he says is that America and the West are mainly service economies. All right,
that's right. That's right.
In fact, can I play that clip out?
Absolutely. I'm gonna read
real quick
these comments while you pull that up. Brothers got some good stuff. Brother Strive for the Masteries put Sirach 10:3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And then the brother Died Garments from Barber put the definition for gruel, like that, like in the Matrix, eating that gruel, you know. It says a thin liquid food of oatmeal or other meal boiled in milk or water. Yeah, we need to invest in gruel companies because that's what's coming, right? GMS Hawaii, Shalom, put beef retail prices rose 30% from the beginning of 2020 before pandemic lockdown started to a peak of $7.90 per pound in October, before declining slightly in November, December. according to U.S. Department of Agriculture data, the grocery store is arguably where consumers feel inflation most. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, meat costs about 20% more than it did in 2021. So, yo, it's getting real. It's getting real. And that's just baby. That's just a little bit. We ain't seen nothing yet, man. Passover coming, bro. We planning on, getting the lamb for the brothers and everything like that. Brothers going and looking up lamb prices, and they're like, that's a whole nother lesson we'll have to talk with brothers. Make sure you're tithing in the camps, man. Make sure y'all brothers are being prudent with dealing with your money.
Yeah.
Who is this dude Duncan, man? Talk about cigarettes.
Yeah, someone got to block this dude.
I'm clown, man.
Yeah, so I got the clip up here. So basically, what they're gonna do is they're gonna manipulate the situation where it's gonna become very costly to perform production.
Okay.
And then so production is gonna get cut, and at the same time as people are losing their jobs and all this stuff is happening, people are going to be consuming less, and then more people are going to lose their jobs because we're in a service industry. So if people are going to restaurants less and doing all these things less, that they're going to fire the waiters. Pretty much what happened during the last thing. It's just going to be worse. So I got a clip here. Let me play this clip.
And the American economy in 1981 was a lot.
Can you hear that, Art?
You can turn it up.
Manufacturing based.
Turn it up just a little bit more.
The American economy in 1981 was a lot stronger. It was a lot more manufacturing based, and what's up? And the American economy in 1981 was a lot stronger. It was a lot more manufacturing based, and what's up with manufacturing versus service economy? Well, if you have a service economy, it's easy to fire people. Okay. You can fire them quickly. With a manufacturing economy, it's harder because if you have a factory that needs 100 employees, and if it has only 99, the factory doesn't work, well, then you're going to try to hold on to your employees as long as possible and find alternate sources of financing. But if you're a service economy, you can just fire workers piecemeal, okay, and fire them all little by little until there's nothing left because it's a service economy. And when the economy picks back up, then you can start hiring them again, right? But that kind of labor flexibility seems like such a good thing. It means that a recession can hit a lot faster.
Boom. So things can go downhill fast, man.
Yeah. So we get into that place where, you thought it was all good. Now this is where Section 16 comes into place. You got something else out?
No, we can continue.
All right, so I'm gonna continue on this real quick.
That is terrifying. An immediate demand destruction. What is that?
No one wants oil.
Why?
One wants, because the economy has collapsed and there's no demand.
COVID.
Right. COVID.
Yeah.
Hey man, come on,
and
dog.
to balance the market in this direction, as it stands, to balance the market, we have to use less oil than we did in 2019. In the first scenario, JP Morgan admits that is so large, the immediate supply shock to the bank, or the supply shock, the bank believes prices need to increase to $120 a barrel and stay there for months to incentivize demand destruction, assuming no immediate Iranian volumes. Okay?
We're hoping Iran.
We're hoping Iran will start selling its oil. The far scarier scenario from the bank, JP Morgan, is one where disruption to Russian volumes lasts throughout the year. In that case, they say Brent oil price could exit the year at $185 a barrel, possibly $200 a barrel. So our entire global economy revolves around $100 a barrel oil. Okay? Everything we have, our groceries, our food, everything we do is based on $100 a barrel. That's just what all scenarios have been geared for. You don't change that overnight without extreme consequences. For instance, $140 a barrel was what it was at for the 2008 collapse. That was the last straw. You cannot hold this thing together at a sustained $140 a barrel. We're talking about $185 to $200 a barrel. And remember, the Fed said they need to stop the economy. They need to do everything they can to slow it down. In the 1970s, we had an oil disruption, and it was horrible. OPEC just stopped selling us oil, okay? Horrible. What we did in those times is almost exactly what we're doing now, except like the low-fat version, okay? We are now eating bacon fat only. And to cure that, they had to take 20% interest rates. So you borrowed something, it was 20% for your mortgage. That's how we got out of it. But remember, we had a president who was saying, cut taxes, cut regulation, just go out, build stuff, make stuff. Come on, entrepreneurs, let's go. Okay? That's what got us through that. Now we have a government saying more regulation, higher taxes, no power to the people, and shut them off with gas, shut them off at the banking sector if we disagree with them. This is a death sentence, Again, but our government is hoping that Iran...
Boom. So you can go and watch the rest of this. Good video from a couple of days ago. Extreme consequences unless Biden drills for oil now. Okay? And it's just really, just highlighting how important, keeping a regular flow of petroleum into an active economy is, this economy, we're using tons and tons of oil. And Require Comb, you said you had an article, a clip that kind of showed how much petroleum we use, or where petroleum is used in our daily lives. You had something on that? I think we lost him. Hold on. Oh yeah, you're on mute. You still?
Yeah. I had an article that basically kind of shows that. Where is it? Yeah, I got it up here. Hey, that's why we told you, man. Revelations 12:12, man. The devil is coming down with great fury. He's doing it. It's him. There's ways that he can alleviate the pain, but he's bringing the pain.
Yeah. So one of the brothers put Revelation 12:12 up there.
Yep, exactly that. And we've been saying that for a while. Like, he's gonna come down, man. Products made from crude oil. It says these petroleum products include gasoline, distillates such as diesel fuel and heating oil, jet fuel, petrochemical feedstocks, waxes, lubricant oils, and asphalt.
Look at that.
And then when you're going into the petrochemicals, I mean, that goes into everything. Medicine, all the medicines are petrochemicals. Yeah, there we go. So you got like solvents, ink, football cleats, insecticides, sweaters, bolts, upholstery, because a lot of the clothes is also made from petrochemicals. I mean, we could go on forever. Tires, golf bags, CD player. What the hell? Soap, vitamin capsules, shoes, purses, everything. Literally everything in society is got
car batteries, toilet seats,
plastics. Anything with plastic is petrochemical. Anything with plastic, which is most of manufacturing. That's why, because that's why they did it that way. Because the Rockefellers and them lot, they owned all the oil, so they made the system be dominated by oil produced products.
Mm-hmm.
They owned the pharmaceutical industry. It's an oil industry. It's all petrochemicals, combs, enamel, crayons. I mean, everything. I mean, there's almost nothing that, you know, it says a partial list of products made from
144.
petroleum. 144 of 6,000 items. You know.
Yeah, this is an oil-dominated society that we live in. So, you know, cranking that up is going to make everything that you touch much, much, much more expensive quickly. Because people, you know, people think, you know, hey man, you know, we got all these millions and millions of barrels. I mean, it shouldn't become expensive that quickly. We're using millions of barrels a day. Like, people are consuming, you know.
Yeah. You don't see it because obviously you're on the ground level. It's like you don't see how much water a city uses every day because all you see is you flushing the toilet. But then multiply that out by millions of people, and it adds up.
Yeah.
You know, it scales.
It scales. Hundreds of millions of people every day brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
Every day, you know, using lotion. You know, every day driving around, whatever. Okay.
Which is more reason for them to basically streamline production. And I think we brought that out. I tried to find there was something we brought out ages ago to do with the Agenda 2030, and part of the goals of Agenda 2030 was to streamline production, which basically means like right now you got a lot of variation in production, so you'll have like 50 different types of toothbrushes. Like that's the West for you. You know, you're used to going into the store and there's just like so much choice because there's all this production. And so part of Agenda 2030 is to just get rid of all that. So you got like 2 toothbrushes you could pick from, 2 shoes, like, you know what I mean? Especially that's gonna hurt these women, like two dresses. It's gonna be like Star Trek. You know, they all wearing the same thing basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they'll make it sound good, you know, for the fate of our nation. For the fate of our nation.
Shortages, you know?
Doing all that type of stuff, right? All right. Congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. You've made it about 1 hour into the algorithm. And this is where we really start to ramp it up. if you didn't think it was already ramped up by now, this is where we're going to start to ramp up and really talk about. First, we wanted to talk about on the political side how they create all these smoke screens and kind of give you a backdrop of why it's leading to the MOTB. But let's start talking about a little bit about these gas prices a little bit. Like, what are we looking at? Like, what is the purpose of all this? Let's really start to kind of munch on that and talk about how famine and how powerful famine can control people. And the first part about it is the oil and the price of oil. You know, I'm gonna play this clip, a small piece of it, and then we're gonna get into we're gonna start to get into the famine type of mindset and what the scriptures say about it and the ways it can come about.
Basically just highlighting how bad things are at the pump. Of course, we knew that, but we're at, relatively speaking, all-time highs, and it's just the beginning. And
we are currently at an all-time high in American history at the price of gas. All-time high. And you ain't seen nothing yet.
Compartmentalized throughout the country, and of course the coastal regions happen to be hit the hardest. And so we have here just something that says the average gas prices in the U.S. reached $4.17 per gallon today, the highest in history, breaking the previous record of $4.11 set in July of 2008. And we know what happened immediately following that time frame. So we haven't seen nothing yet.
So in October, after July 2008, later on in the year in October, all hell broke loose. So, you know, this is what, you know, we've been talking about as far as just leading into this next winter season. You're going to see more propaganda, this, that, that. Things going to get worse and worse and worse. And then, oh, man, this is going to get really interesting.
And then to piggyback on more, I came across something that really caught my attention.
And so the I Am Legend movie that came out in 2007 with Will Smith, and it looks like they're going to be doing a remake of that movie. But it talked about times during the apocalyptic type of events, dealing with some type of virus being released and how it impacted humanity. Of course, we all know about that movie. Great movie by Will Smith. But there was a tweet out there that highlighted the price of energy at that same time where Will was at the gas station pumping for oil. And so the little meme going around is that, the price during that movie there, which the futuristic event at that time frame, I think it was 2012 or so, and the movie was placed in 2007 or something like that. But just looking at the price at the gas station there, it was just Will and his dog. It's $6.63 for regular, and people are saying that, hell, that's cheap compared to what's happening out in California. And so I thought about, that's definitely something that's interesting in of itself. But let's jump into just a couple things that is trending on the social media sphere right now. And this is from Wendy Rogers, Arizona politician. She says, Biden has declared war on oil, and by default, our wallets. This is why we shut down the Keystone Pipeline. And so, of course, President Biden came out talking about I want to be upfront with you guys. I want to be transparent with you guys. I mentioned that, the events unfolding in the Ukraine and Russia, there will be some costs that the American people will have to deal with and adjust to. And this atmosphere, these are the costs that we're referring to. Ultimately, meaning, just an assault on our wallets, assault on our purchasing power of our currency. And it's just beginning in a sense. So we all kind of expected this to happen, and here we are now in the beginnings of it. So it is what it is. We all know what we should have been doing well before now, but it's never too late. But in the natural realm, things are definitely starting to reveal themselves. But here is a response from the former administration. Even though he doesn't have access to Twitter, his fans and supporters still manage to share his tweets throughout the day, or his posts throughout the day. And so here is the actual post in and of itself for those that are interested. But it says, statement made today by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America, says, just confirmed that most of Europe won't go along with the United States in boycotting Russian oil and gas. As usual, the United States will be left out there alone, being taken advantage of by Europe as we defend them, while we read in the fake news how everyone has come together under Biden to fight Russia. And so, of course, continue to dig out, just because how can you not dig at him? Because it's clear as day, none of this comes from him. It all comes from his handlers, those that are the people who prepare his speeches. And so they're basically just using this guy as a damn puppet, but we all knew that. But to keep it moving right along, as we're witnessing the Brent crude oil price spike, it says crude oil jumped 7% as the U.S. bans Russian imports. And already, based upon the sanctions, the world has been forced to turn their back on Russia, and that includes accepting their energy as well as all the other commodities that they provide to the world. And everyone's experiencing a pinch in some capacity. And so by passing this current embargo on Russia, it will only further create more pain for the world itself, especially those in Europe, because they're directly connected via the Nord Stream pipeline. Talking about even cutting that pipe off, which ultimately, with the remaining month or two or so of winter, would literally send the gas pad prices in Europe to all-time highs beyond what they are now. And so the energy crisis that's close to the borders of the Ukrainian-Russian event will only make its way throughout Europe, and of course hit the United States hard as well. And this is just heading into a time frame where during the summer things might die down on the energy sector. But heading into next winter, we could see some things like we could never have imagined before.
And that's what it is. It's all a buildup. It's all a systematic buildup leading into the next fall, winter, for it to be on a whole nother level, And yeah, man, it's just common sense. The brother said, America has oil. Why don't they use their own oil resources? Because they don't want to. They want to strain this economy out on purpose. They're not producing any oil. They're going into the strategic petroleum reserves which is meant just for wartime and systematic, and it's only 75 million barrels. That'll be gone like that. So that's not going to help anything. You're going to see the price of stuff go absolutely fanatical. Okay, and we're going to praise the Lord, because we know it's just doing nothing but bringing us closer to the day of Yahushua.
And not only that, this whole situation with the sanction in Russia is basically because the de-dollarization was happening previously. It's not something that's happened overnight. But what this sanctions against Russia has done is it's been like a trigger point for it to go forward, because Russia is such a key player in the commodities market that people still want their commodities. And you gotta remember, they keep talking about the world. A good chunk of the world don't rate America, don't rate the West, like the BRICS, like India don't rate them. Like, and the thing is, like, I got a clip. Let me see if I can pull this clip up.
Because people talk
Basically,
about. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, basically, like the West, it's like they don't have the commodities, man. They don't have what people need. Yeah, these other nations like India, China, Russia, they good. What the West really exports to them is certain financial instruments, luxury cars, which you don't need a luxury car, and Versace and Louis Vuitton and McDonald's and Coca-Cola. Now, if you really break it down, they don't need that. They don't need it. Like, they were like, okay, I could do without a Louis Vuitton shirt.
Yep, just entertainment. That's really what we service out. A lot of entertainment, service industry type stuff. But America's not providing the world with grain.
There you go. Let me get this clip.
Russia is. You know what I'm saying? And we leading into that point is because with these sanctions, it's really hitting those markets.
Yep.
And that's what's pissing people off. Not the oil. They left the oil kind of open, but what about all the grain and corn and everything like that people need?
Everyone's gonna move towards doing business outside the dollar. See, the only way they can really do these sanctions is through the dollar. And that's why what's his name? Powell. Who's the guy from the Fed the other day? Powell, isn't it?
Yeah, Powell.
He said that, yeah, it looks like there's gonna be multiple reserve currencies, because let me get this clip. Nations are starting to figure out, like, hold on, like, this whole dollar thing is a liability, because what if they do to me what they're doing to Russia? So guess what? People are going to start buying rubles so that they can buy Russian oil. They're going to start holding on to the yen. They're going to start holding on to all these currencies with these major countries that actually have commodities that they need. Because what are they really buying with the dollar? Commodities. Let me play this clip here from the coach.
No, we're not doing that right now.
Let me turn this up.
Quite a bit of debt. They can go on a debt spree that no other nation on earth could go on. Because, quite frankly, the level of debt that the United States has is so high that were on any other country on earth, people would say that that country is bankrupt. The fact is, the United States is bankrupt, but the only thing that is keeping it afloat is the fact that it has the reserve currency. And the fools of the MMT, the modern monetary theorists, right, they thought that, well, we have the reserve currency, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just print as much money as we want. And that is technically true until the other countries in the world decide, you know something, I don't really trust you. I don't really trust you as the reserve currency. Because what if you decide to sanction me and fuck my economy over? So I'm going to start diversifying. Rather than have just the one reserve currency, maybe we start to have like 3 or 4 or 5 even, you know, like the dollar, but also the euro, certainly the ruble, the renminbi, and maybe the yen. And all of a sudden, things turn very south for the American economy, you see?
Right, so these sanctions are going to push these other nations away from the dollar, beginning with Russia, China. They're gonna start doing their own thing. Hold on.
Why is it not going to hurt Russia? Because Russians have a huge foreign currency reserves on the one hand, and on the other, much more importantly, they have ready customers with a pipeline or several pipelines, as a matter of fact, already built to send the gas that they were formerly sending to Europe. They could start sending it to China and to Southeast Asia. So Europe, by going along with these, sanctions packages, which do not hurt the people in the Kremlin, they do not hurt the oligarchs, they do not hurt anybody in the top echelon of Russian society. Well, the only people who are going to be hurt are European people, not the Russians. Not the Russian leadership, anyway. And since the Russian leadership can redirect that gas to Asia, then it's not really going to affect the Russian people now either. And here's the thing, see, a lot of people are saying that the ruble has collapsed in value. Oh yeah, it took a huge, huge hit, something like 40%. But it's recovering. And you know what's interesting is that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are already taking big positions in the ruble because they realize what's coming. See, because the West, through this thermonuclear sanctions package at Russia, it essentially disconnected Russia from Western trade, except in the energy market and the food market. And see, if I own something, I don't have to sell it to you if I don't feel like it. And the Europeans don't seem to have understood that. The Europeans are under this mistaken notion of the famous meme by John McCain. The meme was that Russia is a gas station with nuclear weapons. That's the meme. And the notion that that Russia needed to buy all of its goods from the West. Well, that's not true. They've got China, and they have very, very good relations with China, and also India. Okay, so they don't need to buy stuff from the West. It's nice, but they don't need it. It's not essential. It's not existential. But Russia's food and Russia's energy is existential for Europe. Okay, how many of you guys understand what I'm saying and the implications are starting to become clear to you, especially you Euro bros? Hit me with a...
You see? So things are... Is brother there? Yeah, so things are moving forward in that way that it's gonna cause massive problems for the West, the rest of the world too, but they're making it look like they're hurting Russia, and they're hurting themselves too. The dollar's it's gonna go away fast. Hyperinflation, they've triggered their own demise.
Yep, on purpose. On purpose. Was that the last clip?
I think I had just one more. Hold on, let's have a look. There we go. Yeah, that's one of them. One more clip.
Don't have anything to lose. They got cut off. I mean, it's remarkable how in a single week, Russia essentially got cut off economically from the West. But the West is still getting stuff that it existentially needs from Russia, whereas Russia did not lose anything that it existentially needed. This is the key issue here, see? Because, Louis Vuitton bags, and iPhones, they're nice to have, but you don't need them. But you do need electricity. You do need, heating oil and gas for heating, right? You do need gasoline. You need these things. But if you cut yourself off from your seller, if you go out and antagonize your seller, and the seller has other customers, who gets fucked?
See, this is what's happening, man.
Yep. The residual effects of a global economy where you have, siphoned off manufacturing, sold it off to other nations, lived deliciously.
Mm-hmm.
Now the shameful spewing is coming back. Okay.
Yep.
Now, real quick, I'm gonna play a clip, because as they do the straining of the economy, through the gas. The brother has an article I just saw with the fertilizer. We're seeing strains on the supply chain lines. Food is not getting where it needs to go. Ukraine is being shut down as far as selling its grains. The truckers are striking in Canada. They're striking in the United States. The transportation, they're like the brother he's in the UK. There's a transportation strike over in the UK. So logistic systems are getting clogged up. Getting goods and services from one place to another is getting clogged up, and it's on purpose. So not only is it more expensive to get stuff from one place to another, you have less transport sending things from one place to another. Okay, so it costs more to get it there, and then it's not enough getting there. All of these are recipes for famine. Okay? On the back end, they're restricting energy, which you need in order to create the fertilizers necessary to grow crops. Everything is leading towards absolute chaos, and it's on purpose. It's on purpose. Before we dive into 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, I wanted to play a couple more clips. We're actually getting ready to wind this down with the last few clips that we want to play. This video right here, I say everybody should go watch it. It's a really, really good video. Glenn Beck invited this guy named Adam Curry to his show. They were going through so many points that we hit on. I was like, man, did they watch our video? You know? But I want to play a couple of things from this video. You know, definitely go check out the whole thing yourself. But I want to play a couple of clips from it. And it's going to give a good, well-rounded kind of understanding of things.
It is. Don't you see how? And the reason why they say that is the basis of central banking.
And he's talking about don't you understand the economy? He's like, I really never understood the world financial markets. And his friends that are in that world was like, don't you see? And he's like, I really didn't understand. So he's going to give a quick kind of clip of what he gathered.
Financial systems is this keep the 2% interest rate, inflation rate. What that really means is we're going to try to only print 2% more money each year. That's what that actually means. And we have all these confusing what is inflation? Well, it's this basket of goods that went up. Yeah, you changed that 5 times in the last 3 years. So, really inflation might be at 20 or 25%. But it's really about the money printing. And in 2008, they just cranked it up so hard. But what that was doing, you have 2 kinds of money. You have the bank reserves kind of on the, sorry, I can't stand it. That's all right. The bank reserves on the Federal Reserve side, and then you have the money that we use, and it goes through the retail banks. But if you have all of this money here, it has to get out, but not too fast, because then you have skyrocketing inflation, which means we're paying more for everything. So it's a balance. That's all I can really explain about it. It's a balance of the money that they make up and the money that we use, and that has to be in balance somehow. It was way out of whack because the banks were insolvent, and the way they solve their problems is they go overnight to the lender of last resort, which is the Federal Reserve. And of course, everyone has learned through you and Ron Paul that it's not a federal organization. It's like Federal Express. And that's supposed to be like an overnight thing, just a quick, we have a little cash flow problem, just hook us up with $1 trillion.
And it used to be the discount window. Before 2008, it was called the discount window,
yes.
Which had shame to it. If you were a bank that bellied up there,
you were in trouble.
You were in trouble. And everybody knew. It was very public, and all the other banks went, oh boy, they're in trouble.
Yes. And so the same thing happened, which you correctly identified, the same thing happened in 2008, 2009. The reverse repo market was getting a little crazy. Now, what was significantly different was it used to be overnight, then it became 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 months. That means someone in the system or some banks are technically insolvent, and they should be cleaned up, but no one wants to do that. So the way you fix that is you keep extending these loans, and so it wasn't like 130 trillion that we actually
gave to the banks, and of course, as you identified, Bank of Scotland, Bank of Japan. I mean, it was all this money, but it's really the central bank's money, not our money. But we have to pay the bill for it.
See that? So see how they got the world encapsulated in a system of debt. How these banking systems they over leverage themselves, and then they're able to just come borrow more money from a private group. Then they just print out the money and make them more debt enslaved. But along with the loan comes all these stipulations, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Every single time now these big, large corporations and banks go belly up, they're able to borrow money. But with the signing on the dotted line is all of these regulations and rules, and they just systematically get you more and more and more, and it's all through a bot yacht. Debt, thick clay.
Through inflation and all this other stuff on the other side. So they never cleaned that up. They stuck it in, they did quantitative easing and all these terms that basically mean we're getting rid of this problem by buying stocks and buying Apple and anything else, which kind of fueled the stock market and the big transfer of wealth. Everybody who had stocks made doubled their money, if not tripled their money. So this started, but it was the same money being lent over and over again. So really, it was probably 11 or 12 trillion that kept being lent over and over. It's not cumulative, but still $11 trillion. Yeah. And then you see how much money has been printed in the last 2 years. Printed being Federal Reserve made it 40% of the money supply. This has to get out. It has to go somewhere, and that means if you want to stop everything, you shut down the economy and you say, pandemic, you can't go out. Let's close small businesses, and that gave them some breathing room. Right. I think and I take the elites at their word. Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, on January 21st, tweeted the following: I have reached out to all the UN member states, and I have told them to prioritize the following 5 things. 1, tackle COVID-19. 2, transform the global financial system. What? Number 3, climate change. Okay, so now let's talk about climate change. And then the UN Secretary General on
Listen to what he's saying right here. Right? The head of the UN told them this.
January 21st, tweeted the following: I have reached out to all the UN member states, and I have told them to prioritize the following 5 things. 1, tackle COVID-19. 2, transform the global financial system. What? Number 3, climate change. Okay, so now let's talk about climate change. And then the 4th is put the human being at the center of the digital universe. My skin crawls when I hear that. Yeah. What are you talking about, bro?
Chip you. Chip everybody. Walking QR codes. That's what they want. They want to upload you into their digital godhead.
So transforming the global financial system is number 2 on the list, ahead of climate change. Right.
You can't really tackle climate change without the global financial system.
Precisely. We need carbon credits. We need social engineering. What I see happening is so illogical. We want to move to a carbon net zero by 2050. Now, anyone who has a brain will say, if we're taking away petroleum and oil and we're replacing it with renewables, doesn't that screw up the petrodollar? Well, because the reason why the dollar is the reserve currency is because we told Saudi Arabia, price it in dollars, everyone buys it in dollars. We clear those dollars through the New York Fed, through SWIFT. And if someone makes a problem, then we'll come in with our army. And if you try to sell in euros, correct, Gaddafi, we'll come and kill you. And that's basically how the dollar.
So he's posing this point, hold on, wait a minute. If we have the petrodollar and everything is ran by oil, why are they forwarding an agenda to move away from petroleum? Right? So right now what you see is this strain on petroleum. Prices are going sky high. Prices are going to go sky high on this. So people are going to beg for a solution. They're going to beg for a digital solution, a renewable energy solution, which will be magically rolled out. And that's why you see people buying lithium and uranium, because these markets are being prepared to be put at the forefront of society.
Dominance has always been there. So clearly that's not aligned with the climate message. And enter the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, the Fink, I call him the Fink, Larry Fink. These are people who are transforming our world in front of us. And so I
openly.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is the point. This is no conspiracy. They're telling you. So I Googled that phrase, transform the global financial system. Up pops GFANZ, which is the Geneva Financial Advisor Net Zero Organization, headed by Michael Bloomberg, headed by Carney, the former Bank of England director. Fink is in there, the CEO of every single bank, Citi, JP, they're all in there. And there's a pledge.
It's Glasgow, isn't it? The Glasgow, not Geneva.
Oh, Glasgow. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No. Thank you. And I look at the pledge that they have in there, and the pledge says, I pledge that every deal I do, everything I do right now, will be to get us to net zero by 2050 or before. And I will not invest in anything that has to do with oil. So now we get to where we are today. So we have a Putin, Russia. We don't need to talk about what actually the history of that is. Kinetic attack, supposedly. It seems a little sketchy, all the stuff that I'm seeing. And we're hitting back with what? Financial weapons. Why? Why are we using financial weapons? I believe this is it, Glenn. I believe this is never let a crisis go to waste. This is the tipping point. We need to price energy so high, because that's the effect. That's the effect. Energy is going to be so high. And some other, because when you, and we can talk about Swift in a minute, when you change something in a system, in a network like that, I know enough from technology that one small change, that can screw up a lot of things. Already wheat prices are now as high as Arab Spring days. So there's going to be really, really, really hard times. And I think that the idea is to shut down global production because of the cost of energy. No one's going to want to produce. Go back home, sit at home. Don't worry. We'll take care of you just like COVID. We're going to send you money. This time, though, not a check. This time, it's your Federal Reserve digital dollar.
Boom. Now, the dude just went in. Require Kwame. Oh, he ain't there. He going to do something. Bro, this dude just went in. Now, I want y'all to put a thumbs up if y'all caught that. Put a 1 if you got it. Put a 2 if you want me to rewind it. Because he just broke everything down that we have been jumping up and down about on these algorithms for over 2 years now. We've been jumping up and down about this for over 2 years now. When we first saw the mandates and what they were trying to do when they did it, we was like, oh, snap, the systems around this. They're utilizing this to bring in the MOTB system. They're utilizing them. And then now we see this strain on energy, and it makes sense. It makes sense, man, that they're utilizing this. I'll rewind it, bro. Just that last little clip. I'll rewind it because they're utilizing this to make production so expensive that people are not going to be able to move, and they're going to be begging for a solution. And just like they did when they first came out with the shutdowns, they was like, don't worry, we're going to send you guys some money. But this time you're going to have to upload your identification on this website or whatever it's going to be. And we're going to give you these digital credits. And it's going to be a credit rationing system that's going to be green. And just how they conveniently had everything ready to go once the shutdowns happened, immediately QR codes was just all over the place. It was like an instant transmission. Okay. Now they're gonna have this whole MOTB system ready to go. Okay. So I'm gonna play back probably about 30 seconds. Because he broke it down. And he broke it down exactly what we've been saying, because what he's saying is actually biblical in a way. What he's saying is that there's going to be this beast system that causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And they won't be able to buy or sell without it. Hey, Shalom, Elder. In this live stream. Okay, I'll hit you right back. Shalom. I'm going to play this real quick.
Technology that one small change that can screw up a lot of things. Already, wheat prices are now as high as Arab Spring days. So there's going to be really, really, really hard times. And I think that the idea is to shut down global production because of the cost of energy. No one's going to want to produce.
So when gas prices go up, no one's going to want to produce. Why? Because it actually costs too much to produce. You're losing money. You're losing money to do this business.
Go back home, sit at home, don't worry. We'll take care of you just like COVID. We're going to send you money. This time, though, not a check. This time, it's your Federal Reserve digital dollar. And then we're in deep trouble. I don't think that's stopped.
And President Biden, he's got an executive order that he's bringing out this week to do with crypto.
Yes, sir.
So
how convenient.
Yep.
It's just a coincidence, Require Kwam. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist. Okay? This is what they're doing. Okay? All right? You have another point on it? Because I got 2 more clips from this interview.
I've got to run out because I got to get to work.
Oh, you got to get to work, bro? Okay. If you have any closing statements or anything like that, go ahead.
Nah, man, it's brother C, man, that it's happening, man. Revelations 12:12, and it's gonna happen faster and faster, man. Like, see how that last crisis, it was almost like that 2 years just went really fast. Well, this one, man, like, we don't know what's condition it's gonna be within the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, because this ain't gonna get better. It's just gonna make things progressively worse. So we got to stay locked in, stay in the spirit, and stay grounded in what we know, which is the prophecy. We're steps ahead. We know the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire as well. So just stay locked in, man, and we're gonna continue to do the work of the ministry. I'm sorry I had to go work, man.
No, it's all good. What I'll do is I'll just make this a part 1, because I still want you to talk about global logistics and the famine. There's this brother that's got some real good information that we were gonna go through, and we'll do that on part 2. We'll go through the famine part of this.
Yeah, what we could probably do is start with this clip again, and then we'll roll from there.
Absolutely. So you know what? I'll just wrap this up. And me and you will return. We'll come back and do a part 2 to this, because the brother's got some real juicy, good information, man. So that's the spirit. We'll wrap this up. And did you have any closing scriptures that you might want to close out with?
I wasn't holding anything.
Okay. Well, then I had one quick scripture. You know what? I'll save that for next time. And you know what? Both of those, we're gonna roll in. We're gonna roll into both of those, man. And I pretty much quoted Revelation 13 like 50 million times. So you know what? Yeah, that's what we'll do, bro. Because I want to do that next part with you. I don't want to do it without you. Okay. So I'll wait. And Water for jumping on. I know you have to go to work, bro, man. Go and get to work, bro. Pretty soon though, you ain't gonna. It's gonna be a different thing, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be different. Yeah, the water, the water for having me, bro.
Hey, man, love you, bro, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, shalom, shalom.
Yeah, man. So, what I'll do, what I want to do real quick is I'm gonna play one more clip at the end of this thing, man, because it really kind of goes into what we all have been seeing online, which is just ridiculous amounts of propaganda. Ridiculous amounts of propaganda. I'm gonna play it right about Right about here. This is what we got coming.
Universities, big business, government.
Dude, we know a lot of shit, don't we? I'm sorry. We know a lot of stuff, don't we?
You can say whatever you want.
We know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and from that, now I understand how things work. So whenever you read in the New York Times, according to the London Times, boom, stop right there. That's a intelligent.
So this is one of the things that we have to be mindful of as watchmen, is that there's tons and tons of propaganda. You know what I mean? If brothers can, put up on a forger of lies, the scripture that talks about being a forger of lies, because that's what we're seeing out here. We're seeing a lot of forgery of what's really going on, and they professionally manipulate information. And this is going on social media too. So don't just click on any TikTok video and think it's facts. Don't just click on anything and think that it's facts. There's a lot of misdirection and deception going out, man. Like 90% of the stuff that we see is just media. Even these alternative media guys, they're just even WW3. He just wants clicks. He's gonna say what he needs to say to get a click. You guys come join my Discord chat. Come to the D Live. Come over there, man. This is Dabu. The world is ending tomorrow. And a lot of stuff that he puts up there is just like, is it real information? So we have to be mindful of what we're watching. The water, Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies and all physicians of no value, man. We see that all the time, man. Just mischief, craftiness, deception.
It's messaging. Because, or even better, according to the Uganda Times, this is what's happening. So the New York Times gets to print something as true because the Uganda Times said it must be true. But it's not. It's intelligence influences all around the world, and they are reporters. This never went away, Glenn. They are reporters. They are sources for report. How many times have we heard in the past 7 years, according to sources, according to people familiar with the president's thinking? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Come on. That's insulting.
And what's crazy is all of these sources that talked about Ukraine, the president, Russia.
Yes.
If I were the one that had gone on the air and said, no, this is a credible source, trust me, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Notice nobody's pissed.
No.
They're all like, okay.
But a lot of people have also checked out, and it's much easier to go back into the default mode of Good Morning America and, People Magazine and just say, okay, Putin's a bad guy. He's a horrible guy. We just have to get rid of him, and then click it off and go on, This is just the continuation of the trauma of COVID, and I'm sorry to say they're going to keep going. There's going to be one thing after another, and it wears people down, and and weird things are happening. So for me, the comfort is they're trying to destroy it. They truly are. It's the Great Reset. You can go read now. I 100% believe that there are ads that say you will own nothing and you will be happy. I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Yeah, I do.
They will be like, okay, I don't own anything, but I get my universal basic income. I can gig on the side. I'm kind of happy. Yeah, I feel okay with this. Now, historically speaking, and from our exhaustive research throughout the years, we know it doesn't really turn out that well. There's no example of that working out very well. But is there an example of a fiat-based empire lasting as long as ours has either? So a Great Reset is coming. How that plays out depends on us. And I'm hopeful that we'll have enough of us that we can build the parallel networks until this other stuff falls apart. We're building school systems outside the school system. We're building medicine systems outside.
The scripture says they would have healed Babylon, but she will not be healed. You're not going to be able to heal Babylon. What's his name? Mr. Adam Carey. It's not going to work. It's just going to plummet into absolute destruction and perdition, because that's what the prophecies say. And a whole new world is going to be established on earth through the Israelites, the chosen, the real Israelites. Okay. And you know, you see these guys, and it's like they get it, but they're not spiritually discerned, so they can't get it. You know,
we're building all these things.
Banks, Bitcoin style.
You are your own bank. Yeah. When you have Bitcoin, and I know
Bitcoin is not going to save you, champ.
You come back.
I would love to. Glenn,
I'd love to talk to you
anytime
about much more than just this, because you are
Jones. They really came after him. Went after his card process.
Okay, there's another part in there. I'll find the clip and we'll go over it. But I want to close out there, man. I appreciate you, Akian, for rocking with me, man. And you know, there's more on this that I want to pull out, but I want to pull it out with the brother Require Kwon, because we want to really dive into what they're doing when they're squeezing out these energy markets, and how this is going to lead into really heightened Jacob's trouble, the beginning of sorrows, what we read about in the beginning of sorrows in 2nd Ezra 9, and 2nd Ezra is the 16th chapter, and Ezekiel. I really want to dive into that a little bit more and talk about that. And we're going to cut this, and then we're going to come to a part 2. So appreciate y'all rocking with me. We're going to get down into this. I hope this was edifying and kind of brought light to some things, but we're going to go even harder on the next go around. So like I like to say, call halal Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Bahashim Wadash. Double honors once again to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to all you brothers, sisters out there pushing the word of sincerity and truth. Hey, shalom.